Welcome to Reading and Writing Between the Lines, a podcast series about communication skills in the workplace. I'm your host, John Witzman. Join me as I speak with industry professionals and Conestoga faculty and alumni to explore their journeys with reading and writing skills. Follow us as we talk about how communications learning has changed over the years, how these skills are used in a wide range of industries, and the future of workplace communications. What about the digital elephant in the room? How is generative AI affecting your work environment and the way that you do your work?
That is such a hot button topic right now, for sure. Right now, there's worries in our field that it's going to replace their jobs. At the end of the day, I can't imagine that happening because the technology still needs someone behind it giving it prompts,
right.
Someone with that history and that knowledge. And the work, I've tried using it myself, and I find it helpful in terms of cutting down hours that I'm spending on certain things, coming out with that first outline, but not as a final product, not anywhere close to being a final product at this point, And I can give you an example. I wrote a press release for an announcement for one of my clients. And then I thought, I'm going to try this AI thing. So I put the press release in ChatGPT and I just said, can you turn this press release into an opinion editorial piece? Because typically op-eds take me about 3 to 4 hours to write. It just spits it right out. I read through it. It was a great outline.
Yep.
I still spent another 40 minutes giving it heavy edits. The reason is because I have the background on the client. I understand their tone of voice. I could add in little personal quips that I know about them that ChatGPT is just never going to know.
Right.
But it cut down my 3 to 4 hour session into 40 minutes.
Yep.
So it's a really powerful tool if done right.
Yeah.
But it's not one that you can completely rely on.
No, and it's also interesting to think of it as a tool that has a disproportionate value or benefit to users depending on where they are on the sort of experience spectrum. So to somebody who is still developing their sort of foundational skills, it might seem to be all they might ever need. And yet to somebody who's more experienced and more advanced in their development, they see it as really just a starting tool. And yet more beneficial probably to that person at the senior level as a time saver, as a sort of preliminary draft, than it is to the person who might be inclined to just take it and use it whole cloth.
I completely agree with you. And I think in order to be a strong editor, you need to be a strong writer first.
Yeah.
And if you're not practicing that skill because you're too reliant on these tools, then you're never going to get to a point where you can be a strong writer or a strong editor.
Yeah.
And these tools need an editor. They're not there yet, at least not right now.
Not right now.
Yeah.
And they may be, and it's an interesting challenge for me as an educator, because I can feel a lot of empathy for somebody who might be at the developing stage of their learning, and wondering, where do they find that motivation to go through the repetitions when here's this thing that can seemingly do it all, especially if I'm not at that stage where I can see the subtle gradations between pretty good and actually good.
Right.
What motivates me to put that aside and do it by hand? How do I know? How do I believe in this journey that you and I are describing?
Yeah, I don't know if I.
And I don't mean to present it to you as if you should answer that, because that's a big one. I truly mean those questions rhetorically. I don't know the answer to them necessarily either. I think that the best I can offer by way of answer is the kind of conversation that you and I are having, right? That there isn't really a shortcut to developing this set of skills, or really any set of skills. That skills by definition get developed over time through practice, with mentorship, with experience, with mistakes, right? With reflection.
Yeah, absolutely. I think whenever you're developing any skill, reading, writing, or, science, math, whatever. You need to understand the thing that you're practicing inside and out, and you can't do that unless you're doing it yourself. Does that make sense?
I think so. Well, and that was going to be my next question. If there was a better version of generative AI that could get you all the way there to the press release, to the op-ed, not just 40 minutes away, do you think you'd want it? What would be left in your job if we had devices that could do that to the level that you'd be satisfied with?
Yeah, there's still strategy. There's still strategic thinking. There's still, you still need to be a strong prompt writer. And that is actually a skill set that they're telling us now in the communications field we need to develop. Because again, these products, they're only as good as their user, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's still going to be a place for communications, even if it's super polished.
Well, I think that is an encouraging place for us to start to wrap up, that even as we sort of look ahead to a future communications arena in which there are artificial agents contributing, that we still need to believe in our own sort of human role in that process, and to believe in the value that we contribute, not just sort of supplementing, but guiding that process, leading that process, and that ability to do that, to guide, to lead, that comes from years and years of skill development and practice.
Exactly. Yeah. There's also a big discussion around the ethics of using AI in our field, right? Is it considered plagiarism because you didn't write it? I'm also noticing as well, there's maybe sometimes a lack of accuracy that comes in the facts because you don't know where the sources are from.
Yes.
I actually, in the op-ed that I was mentioning, it actually changed some of my facts and figures.
Right.
But I read through it, I caught it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say when I have a younger teammate that just hands in something from ChatGPT with no edits, I can spot it immediately.
I've become fairly confident in my spotting abilities as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the overly flowery language without really saying anything. It's the lack of attention to detail. There's definitely challenges with it.
And that marks the end of another episode of Reading and Writing Between the Lines, a podcast hosted by me, John Witzman, on behalf of the Communications Department and School of Interdisciplinary Studies at Conestoga College. You can find other episodes of this series on our YouTube channel, Reading and Writing Between the Lines. Stay tuned for more episodes. Thanks for listening.